This episode of the Untold Podcast is brought to you by Lawton, providing the very best in audio manufacturing since 2006. The Silicon Valley-based company is behind a bevy of high-class recordings with artists like the Foo Fighters and Cardi B. Lawton, the makers of original, inspiring microphones. Man, super humbled to have you five giants in the room. I feel like I was telling Brandon before we started, it's nearly impossible to get all five of y'all in the same room. I don't think I've seen five of y'all in the same room at the same time.
Yeah. And we pour out a little water out for Bryce too, man. So it'd be a feat if we can get all six of us in the room.
Well, then that means we need to do it again. So
we gotta do it again.
We just make another more room for Bryce. But shout out to Bryce Butler. Welcome to the Untold Podcast. Pleasure to have Trillicon Valley in the room. And from what I know about the moniker Trillicon, Trill meaning true and real, and obviously you guys are five giant icons. So I'm excited as a black man to be able to help be a voice, at least in the podcast space, for what you all do. So tell me, what's the inspiration about what Trillicon does? What's the why?
Take it off, Jay.
I started looking, I'm like, everybody can jump in on there.
Yeah, man. But all right, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna tag Jay in. So what's crazy is Jay. I didn't know Jay, but I've known of Jay for a very long time. And we back in Chicago, we literally live in adjacent towns. We went to adjacent high schools, all this other stuff. And it took me until 2011 when I moved out to the Bay to actually get introduced to his brother. And then once we got introduced, it was like family. Wow. And so Jay was like, first day was like, bruh, I'm tired of being in Silicon Valley. We need to change this and flip this to Trillicon Valley, where the real ones at. And so that's when it was just like the family just kind of united. And that's how we started. But then that's what I'm tagging in. Jay, like, what was your inspiration for Trillicon Valley? Where did the genesis of that come from?
Man. Honestly, it came from not wanting to fit in here. Like, I don't see this place as a place that creates innovators. I see this place as a place that creates fast followers. And, in Chicago, we're not built to follow, we built to lead. So once I sniffed out the landscape and I sniffed out the dynamics of the game here, I realized that the moment you believe in this place, you start to lessen yourself. And so it's almost like an alternate reality. I read comic books all the time. So if it was a metaverse, this is a parallel universe that we exist in with Trillicon, where we don't have to pretend to be something we're not. We don't have to code switch. We don't have to culturally sanitize ourselves. We don't have to be invited to the right barbecue or to write this or to write that. Wherever we are is the right place to be. And that was really it, man. Just got tired of people telling me, you got to know this person. You got to know that person. Like, I don't got to know nobody but myself and God. And that's it. And so when we were operating, early on with the LLC side, it was mostly lectures and just me wanting to create a vehicle separate from other stuff. But then, meeting all y'all brothers and everybody clicking up, it became like, now it is like this massive movement of people just being themselves in this place and not asking permission, but giving themselves permission to be themselves.
And something I was listening to that has been said that you all are the Wu-Tang of Tech.
Yeah.
Brandon, you want to speak on that?
I mean, we represent a whole bunch of different functions and areas of expertise. So when you think about a technologist, I've been trying to be like DeVaris Brown since 2005 at University of Illinois. So we got computer scientists in the house. We've got photographers and storytellers. We've got people that build community and know how to operate nonprofits, and then sneaker design, entrepreneurs. So we fill out so many different areas of the landscape, and it could be applied to corporate America, but it could also be applied to the community, and this inspirational story for the younger versions of ourselves who are looking around for some direction these days. I feel like you can see through a lot of the icons of the past, and when they start to get closer and closer to you, you're like, man, maybe I don't want to be like that. So we're endeavoring to try to be actual role models, actually building our families and trying to do the right thing. So that's a little bit of what it means to me to bring kind of five different disparate kind of areas of expertise and folks that are doing it genuinely and for the right reasons.
I love that, because that's really what it's about. I could spend 5 hours on all y'all's resumes. We have CEO of Maroxa.
Yep.
We have the CEO of Royal Law. We have the president of Fear of God at Athletics. We have the CEO and my boss of Street Code Academy. And then we have the senior business development manager of Amazon Web Services and creator of Tic-Tac-Toe 10, which is my joint.
Gosh, he's taking it back.
Let's not forget about like community college also.
Oh yeah,
you know?
man. Like,
Yeah.
Brandon do so much stuff, man. He's
12 job.
I know, man. It's only 12. You know what I'm saying? Like Brandon is silently the utility person. Like that's the thing. Somebody asked me a long time. It was like, yo, how did you and Brandon meet? And I was like, man, and that's the best part about this group is like, you can't just box us in under a particular context. Like me and Brandon met in college on engineering, but Brandon also is one of the best hoopers out here. Brandon also is one of the best soccer players out here on the low.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, man. And then nice on the keys, musician. He got bars.
Yeah.
Like, and then he has a day job, right? Yeah, he's a family. Like, it's all this stuff, and for us, it's just kind of like, you know, you only see black excellence in a lane, right? And for us, it's just like, look, we just do whatever it is that we want to do, and we all can come together. So even though Jay's a designer, dude also does literally everything else, right? Even though Squint's a star, like, we all do these things together, and that's how, you know, when we present outwardly, that's what we want to show the world is like, look, just be yourself. Because when we were growing up, it was crack, rock, and jump shot, right? Like, this is just what it was for us. And so now we get to show people like, look, you can rap and have a day job. You can be in the community and be, you know, a father and like all this stuff. And it's like, that's what we lean on each other for. And so when you say the Wu-Tang, I feel like I don't even know what's a group better than the Wu-Tang, because it's, you know, I think they're great in context for what they do, but we're great together because we can do so much together. So
I'm glad you shared that. That's so brilliant because you can't do that collectively unless there's a thread of humility. Why do you think that the five of y'all, and in absence of Bryce, the six of y'all are able to stand together as giants in a spirit of humility? And as black men, we know.
Hey, always competition.
We know about that. Please, Tune, can you speak to that for me?
Every Saturday morning, you know, DeVaris talked about the ability to do everything. Every Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, I wake up and I join a Bible study. And it brings together many of us. It brings together people from across the country. And it's led by two brothers. One brother on the East Coast, shout out to Gerald, and then Jason. You know, and to me, I think that's a start. You know, on Tuesday and Thursdays, I start my day off after dropping off my kids praying with two other brothers on around this circle. And so to me, when you are constantly striving to start, you know, when you constantly are striving to spend some of the most valuable personal time you have trying to connect with your creator, you're not full of yourself. You know, you're not full of your own accomplishments. You're tied to something that grounds you beyond just the 41 years that I've been on this earth, right? It grounds you to something that's eternal. It grounds you with something that's, you know, universal across continents, across states, across, you know, so you're just part of something bigger. So it's not all about you. It's not your world, you know what I mean? And that, I find that is the foundation for the brothers around this. And then, you know, I mean, when I hear these brothers talking, it's about others, right? It's about, let me be a role model. Let me, you know, try to pave a way. Let me be my own self. Like there's so much that's bigger than this is just my story and my accomplishments. So that's not even something that I think I've ever heard anyone ground. I'm gonna tell you one other quick story. There's a number of stories, but I'll just speak across the room with Squint and Jason. So first of all, those brothers are two of the biggest reasons why we started Street Code Academy, right? We were a program, and those brothers said, "No, Tune, you can do something." So they pushed me into leadership in a selfless way, right? But those same brothers are brothers. You know, Squint I have to hear from other people what he's doing, because he's never boasting about what he's doing. So when he would do things for Street Code, we had the ability to say, now Street Code is a nonprofit organization, right? And so not many nonprofits have the day after you are filming Andre Ward or the day before you're shooting Steph Curry, like you're squeezing in time to shoot our class at Green Street, right? But we did have that, and we wanted to promote that. I wanted to say, like, man, these are the same shots that you see icons in, and he would always say, do not make it about me, make it about the mission. I bring Jason in. At the time, he had 15 years of leadership in Nike and Brand Jordan, and so we come in, and I introduce him to our community, who very rarely get that kind of giant to come speak and pour into us. Right. And he asked me afterwards, he said, can you please not introduce me in that way, because I just want to serve. I just want to be a part of the community. I don't want to make it look like it. So that's that. When I'm just giving you two examples of how that plays out, but you're right, 100%. Like, this is a group that's filled with others first. It's filled with, let me be a line. It's filled with our thread is full more of our weaknesses than it is of our strengths. Our thread is full of, man, I'm going through this, pray for me. Yo, I'm doing, then, oh man, I got, what I'm saying? Like, it's full of, like, we ain't made it there yet. Then we think big. So we're not even, like, where we at now is not even where we want to be. I can go on about why there's a humility thread, but those are just a few of them.
That's beautiful. Wow. So when you're working with 5, 6 humble people that don't toot their own horn, I like to toot people's horn for them. So you can't toot a horn unless you have stories. And I want to talk to you, Squint, about what is the importance of stories when it comes to particularly icons in communities of color.
I've started in this path since I was 8 years old, right? And I was fortunate to have like a family that believed in me and things like that. But I kept going through this place where it's like, you want to work with these top tier jobs. And I remember it was, I think 2015, coming back from New York. I had just the week before, I was like, man, I really want to shoot Jay-Z. Then like a week later, I'm shooting him, right? Or I'm shooting and I got some dope shots. And coming from SFO, I just wanted to go through East Palo Alto, and tune was on my heart, so I would literally go over there, and whenever I would come from like these amazing opportunities or these amazing shoots, I would just come to my brother and just debrief, filter out, and it was so amazing to just like appreciate what we have. It's like you're around the world, but you come here, and then Jason, I would say, really helped me, because it's like you have these desires to want to work for certain companies and certain things, and where I wanted to go, he had already been. Right, so these organizations, and Jason has the ability to strip down the essence of like what a company is or something massive. Like, I gotta tell this story. I figured I might as well tell it here, But like, we're in Toronto, 2016, Michael Jordan's birthday, right? And you gotta understand, like, this whole situation was incredible. And the reason I think stories are important is because, like, when you hear a story, it gives you the ability to understand the confidence and the context behind the person. And so I've seen Jason operate in some of the craziest circles, but this was like an unheard of circle, right? And so we're in like this situation, and we end up going to Michael Jordan's birthday party in a castle in Toronto, right? It's insane. Like, Odell Beckham's in front of me, like Von Miller's behind me, like 3-point security check-in, right? It's insane. So we're seeing all these different people. It's Kobe's last year. So you got Kobe, LeBron, you have all these people running through this castle, right? And, people are, oh, Jay, what's up? Like, Jay's just doing his due diligence, saying what's up, and we're just moving, right? So he's like, I want to say bye to a couple people, let's go. And where we were, there's like the VIP and the VIP, and then there's a VIP, right? Yeah, and we just had, we couldn't even get to that place. But Jay, so Jay was gonna go say bye, and we see Larry Miller, and like the month before, I pitched with help of Jason, I pitched to all of Jordan except for Michael Jordan. So Larry Miller looks up and he sees me and he grabs my wrist. He's like, "Yo, what are you?" And I said, "Look who I'm with." He's like, "Oh, Jason," right? And he's like, he looked at our hands. He's like, "Come here." So he takes us into like this it's insane situation. You have all the who's who of everyone was there except for Obama and Jesus, you know? and, and the wild thing about it was like, you know, Michael Jordan everybody's looking like, oh crap, this is Michael Jordan. And everyone's there. I'm talking about Drake, Future, like you have everyone there. LeBron, everyone's there, right? Like stiff. Michael Jordan's in like these mid-level steps. He walks down and then he goes straight to Jason. The whole party like parts. He's rocking with Jason. Man, I love you, Jason. Man, I love you so much, man. Anything you do, I'll always support you, right? And it was just from a genuine place. It's his birthday. Everyone's there to celebrate him, and he's celebrating Jason, right? Rocking with him. My man Jason hits him on the chest. Nah, I'm good. Thank you for everything you've done, but I got it from here. And I was like, dang. And what I'm telling you is like, you hear these kind of stories, and it shows like the people that we want to strive to be like, they're just humans. And there's such a sincere place of understanding, like, man, the value of how, like, he honored my brother, and I get to be with this brother every day, you know? So it meant so much. And so I tell no capital, and there's a lot of billionaires in that room, they couldn't do what Jason did. You know what I'm saying? So I believe, like, stories have such a high component of, like, if you tell, because I've seen billionaires on the other side of the narrative. And so the fact that we're able to control our narrative and that we're able to move in spaces because of that, I think it's important, you know?
I'm curious, in light of the name Trillicon, who was y'all's individual icons growing up? Who was that dude? Who was that woman? You're like, yo.
I mean, also from Chicago, right? It had to be Mike, you know, in the 90s, 6 championships. I couldn't afford the sneakers back then, so when they retroed all of, you know, we copping all the retros these days, but like there was a certain like energy and a way that you felt just by being in the city during that time, like a confidence that you had. I could be doing homework, getting frustrated and sleepy, and think about, you know, Scotty to Mike slamming. I'm like, okay, that's some adrenaline that I need to finish this math assignment. So it's hard to say anybody but Mike. But outside of that, I really could point to just my parents, blue collar, kind of white collar workers later on. And I think that's a very Chicago thing, to have families that might have migrated, in our case, from Mississippi up to St. Louis and then Chicago. And then for a first generation to work really, really hard and make it better for you and your next generation in order for you to have an easier time. And when I think about heroes, you know, they're not famous. They don't have fancy 401ks or any big nest egg that's saved up in order to compensate them for all of the labor that they went through to make it better for us. So when you say heroes, like one of the first images that come to my mind are my parents, grandparents, my great-grandmother died in January. She's 102 years old. You know, never was a slave, but picked cotton early on in her life in Mississippi and did what she needed to do to lay the groundwork and make things better for her great-grandson now. So, I mean, when you talk about heroes, yeah, you could talk about billionaires a whole bunch, but man, one of the first images that come to my head are mostly in my family.
Untold heroes. Can the four of y'all name an untold hero? Because that's beautiful. Thank you, Brandon. Untold hero.
I think for me, it's probably my high school art teacher, Mr. Summers. So the wild part about Mr. Summers is he looked just like Quagmire from Family Guy. Looked just like Quagmire, bro. Like get giggity, like the whole vibe. Yeah, the whole vibe. But he was like mad cool, and so he had knew of some of the incidents that me and my friends had experienced, and for some reason he took a liking to me and would force me to stay after school to airbrush, and he wouldn't let me walk home. He's like, "You're not walking home, airbrush." And I tell this story honestly because I actually ended up tracking his family down years later and found out he had passed away. But he had his wallet on like the table that was in the storage room where all the equipment was left. And if you've airbrushed before, you know it's gravity feed airbrushes and you got to pour the paint, you got to clean it. So my job was to make sure all the airbrushes were checked back in and cleaned. So he used to have to sit at the desk and take inventory and say, all right, who has something out? What's going on? And his wallet's here. And you know, Quagmire, obviously, wallet fold, you know, bill folds, thick and everything. And it's just sitting there. And I'm looking at it. And he walks in, and I'm like, yo, Mr. Summers, do you know who we are? Like, what are you doing? Why are you leaving your wallet with your money out? Like, are you crazy? My man said it so naturally, so reflexively, without hesitation. He was like, what? You're a kid. You're not a criminal. What's wrong with you? He was like, finish doing the job I told you to do and get out there and airbrush. Like, it wasn't even a question if I was in this space for nefarious purposes. It wasn't a question that I was going to steal his wallet. He had no concern about what I was doing without oversight or supervision. He was like, you right where you're supposed to be. You're not a crook. And so in Chicago, to have an older white male say that to you as a young black male is the first time that I was like, wait, so I don't have to show up with this level of like self-defense to, defend myself against your accusations or your suspicion. And I have permission to just be myself. I got permission to just be in this space unsupervised, doing what I'm doing. Like, that unlocked a different level of like freedom and self-worth, because a lot of kids are anticipating teachers in Chicago to blame them for something. So you always on the defense in the shot. You're not on the offense. You always on the defense. And what's crazy, that moment changed my relationship with art. It changed my relationship with educators. It changed my relationship with like my potential when he told me you're not a criminal. Because I spent my entire teen years trying to show people like, nah, I'm not a criminal. But then to have a person say it without me first having to introduce that concept was crazy. So years later, after I got out of grad school, I was in China for a project when I went back to Nike, and I had reached out to my classmates like, yo, does anybody know how to get in touch with Mr. Summers? Can you find him? I just want to tell him like, yo, I turned out okay. So I get this random phone call, and it's a woman, and she's like, hey, I'm a friend of the family, and someone reached out and showed the family your post, but they were too emotional. They couldn't call you because they wanted to let you know Mr. Summers passed away. But what's crazy is he's followed your entire career. Like, he knew what you did, and he was proud of you. And I'm thinking to myself, this man knew all the stuff I had worked on, all the stuff I went through, all my accomplishments, never reached out, asked for nothing, didn't hit me up to say, come talk to the kids. But he looked at it like he knew the impact that he had made. And so to have that full circle moment to be able to tell his family, thank you for the gift of, who he was for me. And they were like, that's all he ever wanted to do was inspire one kid to not see themselves as a stereotype. And I'm like, yo, he did that. He did that for me. So Mr. Summers is probably the person I would shout out for what he did.
My grandmama, so she played the drums. Yeah, my grandmama played man. She played the drums. Her rudiments on the snare were pretty nice. She had stick tricks too, so she was nice. But she also made jewelry as well. She also reupholstered furniture. She ran a boutique on in South Shore, Chicago area. All of her creations, and would source black artisans and put them in her store. And this was like the 80s and 90s, right? And for me, that was like the thing that she taught me was creativity and curiosity knows no bounds. And whenever I wanted to do something, she found a way, right? And so when I got imagine being a black kid in the 80s skateboarding in the south side of Chicago, right? Like, yeah, man, like she helped me build a skate ramp in her backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like she would take me to Rainbow Beach and like, I would be in the parking lot skating and stuff like that. She took me to my first symphony orchestra in Chicago. She took me to, when I wanted to learn about classical music and actually jazz music, she took me to, just the local like jazz clubs, little seedy spots, but it was just amazing talent, right? And I got to listen to people that I had heard and seen in the album liner notes for years, and just like that space to create and be and just be a kid and just learn, right? Like that's really what made me who I am today. And so that's why I can, in one day do videography and photography. I can do code. I can DJ, hang, yeah, man, do a change out a HVAC system. You know what I'm saying? Like
Fix your
all this
alternator.
stuff. Yeah, man. Like, bro, it's because my grandmama was just like, baby, I'm gonna just do what you can. Like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna teach you how to do these things, and it's okay for you to be more than one thing, right? And that was the genesis for who I was. And I think that, just having that, as I got older and like I've learned more vocabulary, how to describe it, like having a psychological safety, to explore and just be outside of what society tells you that you should be. If I didn't have that, then I don't know where I would be today. So that is the untold hero, untold icon that I had.
That's fire. And I mean, given who you are, now hearing who your grandmother is and was, it makes total sense.
Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Was that your grandfather's
wife? Yeah. Wow. So it's interesting. Like, everybody we all black here, so we all got interesting family dynamics, whatever. But while my granddad was he was like the Michael Jordan of the family, right? Because every week he's taking pictures with CEOs of this and blah blah blah. The person I spent the most time with was my grandmama. So
that's the untold hero.
Yeah.
Like mine's on the same lines of that. Like my grandmother too. Her and my mother and my aunt. I mean, I come from like a lot of strong women, and I'm fortunate and to have that surrounding. And they would always like prepare me, even from since I was a baby, that when the world's against you, like you don't fold. And so that's why you kind of get that, like, you see that fight in me in a sense of like, oh, it's 1,000 of them and it's one of me, let's go. I'm gonna win, kind of situation. And then the dope thing about it is like just the consistency in them, like they instill integrity and instill honor, making God a priority, especially my mom. Like I would see her go through like crazy situation. I remember one time like she was in the emergency room on an accident, like she slipped and fell, and I'm having like anxiety. It's like, dang, your mom's in the hospital. So I'm in there. She's over here like telling the woman next to her who's like going through this trauma and bleeding and telling her about God. And then she gets up, okay, that's why I was here. And then like nothing wrong with her, kind of situation, And so like just understanding like every step and every place that you are is a place of assignment, and you understand like your purpose. And so the dope thing about that is like, I think within that journey and them instilling to me, it got me to a place of like being around these brothers, because it's like I could stand next to them, and it's like I'm the only one in Trillicon from this area, and it's sad because there are a lot of people that left the Bay Area, left California, but for God to send these men into this area to help reinforce the mission that we're having. And so it's like I was strong before, but with these guys, like, oh, we unbeatable for generations to come, and so that's like, no shameless plug, but like they also are my heroes. Like I get starstruck when I see like Brandon and Jason together, or Tunde and Brandon, or like just these weird combinations of each other just hanging out and working together, because I know they're doing something to change the world. But it's so inspiring too. Like that, I get starstruck on that. Like I'm not gonna lie, like that really motivates me a lot, and it's always like they're doing something for the betterment of not only myself, but all of the children, and it's such a selfless act, and it's a group of 6 individuals with no ego. Like there's no jealousy at all. Like I don't look at like, dang, I might be that way sometimes with like Jay's shoes, like, like I'm not gonna lie, he'll have one.
Hey, let me tell this story one time, man. So we in New York, man, and we was just like, yo, man, like let's just stop into a Nike shop just to see what it is, right? Jay had on some shoes. I swear every little kid and people in the store was like, bruh, where did you get those? And I've never, like, people was like, we was walking and folks was like taking pictures. And I'm like, Jay, what are those? And he was like, oh man, this is something I came up with, just one-on-ones, And so somebody comes up and asks him, and they were like, dude, are those the whatevers? And he was like, Yeah, and dude tried to be like, oh, well, I got, da. Jay was like, oh yeah, that's cool. But look on the inside of your shoes. You see that JM right there? Bro, I was like, oh.
I mean, the brothers in museums for like let's. I know these guys are humble, but they're not gonna say it. But like, I can honestly say like this is a group full of Jordans. Like everyone's had like Jordan references throughout this whole podcast, but like literally the best of the best. Like Jason literally is the best designer in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to speak on my brother's pockets, but like everyone is so incredible when you see literally the best. And it's interesting. Like when I look at Toon, like Toon brought us like that whole community, like next level generation. Toon brought that to us. This is the best. I think Toon is the best entrepreneur that I've ever seen in my life. Like because he instills that in everyone else. He'll give his all for it, and he also introduced us to like the younger generation. I used to think like when we were growing up, we were always talked at like the older generation always made us feel like we weren't worthy or certain things, and then like they looked way older than they did. Like, you know, like in their 30s and 20s, they look like they're 60s, you know, the way they dress. But Toon was like the one to say, hey, next generation, let me introduce you to this young kid and pairing us up. And it made us feel awkward. You know, Brandon's kind of like the Pied Piper with the kids. Like so they had those gifts automatically. I thought I was going to be like the old grandpa, like kids stay away from me. But then it was like, you know, we had the tribe, you know, Jason, you know, so you started to have all these different elements, and then it started to come together. And we started to see like, dang, these kids are really listening to us. And they're really sharper than anything. And then, you know, you think of 4 or 5 years down the line and seeing them become young men and women and doing amazing things like that, I would attribute to what our brother has done. And then obviously the support of Super Heroic and giving confidence in these younger children, it really gave us so much more to live for. So it's like that selfless act of everything you do is literally like when you know, how we say like the youth will save us. It's literally because we see that same concept of like, man, if we give them everything and all the tools and help prepare them, the alternative, like all the kids that are around us, they like the confidence in them. They're like, nah, when I go to the league, I'm gonna dunk on LeBron. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they have that kind of confidence in knowing like I'm not afraid of anything, and they all got their own companies, you know, as young kids and raising tens of thousands of dollars. So what I'm saying is, we never had that. And just imagine what it would have been like if we had a DeVaris or a Brandon or a Jason or Tunde or even a Frederick, you know? So that's the thing I think is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the common thread is Toon. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Tunde. Like, Tunde gave me the space to say, you know what, brother, I believe in what you're trying to do right now. I'm on this path too. Like, let's figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is in the nonprofit world, in the community world, it's not always like that because everybody's kind of fighting for the same dollars and things like that. But this man, like, really just brought me in off of a recommendation or just a homie note from this dude, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, this is what we're supposed to be doing with each other. Like, you know, it's the phrase, like, I can go far by myself, we can go further together, right? Like, that really embodies what we do because it's literally, we're all experts at our craft, but beyond that, it's like we have people that we can always bring in to do these things. And it's like, you know, whenever there's an idea amongst the group, we all come together and just like, yo, how do we help you think about this so it has a maximum impact? Who can we bring together so that, you know, you can zoom instead of having to worry about the speed bumps, right? And like, that's the advantage of having people that you know care about you and are selfless, because at the end of the day it could be like, oh well, you know, I need X this percentage, or I ain't gonna introduce you to this one because I got this thing going. It's like, look, it's so much to eat out here. Like, it's so much to eat, and for one person to hoard all of that, like, it's just irresponsible. And for us, we just don't think like that because, look, we're like, first of all, we're humble enough to know that there's levels, right? Like, where we're at, we're cool. You know, we can provide for our families and our communities and things like that, and that's fine. But we never block each other from achieving whatever aspirations and goals that we have. And I think a lot of crews regardless of the context, like it's always that one person that's like, oh, they gonna be the superstar. Like it's Nelly and the St. Lunatics, right? For us, it's just this ephemeral thing where it's like, look, you know. So I had a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and it was like we were talking about kids and why Mickey Mouse and Disney is so important. And it's like, it's crazy because like, what's the last Mickey Mouse movie that's been out? It's like the 70s. Wow. Like kids don't remember when Fantasia popped. Like that was this is why I want to get in the band and like all this other stuff because it's just but like the reason why Disney's so successful, just what he told me, he's like, it's because they protect the mouse. Right? The mouse is, nobody care about, like, do you remember the Goofy movie? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody care about Goofy, nobody care about, Donald and all the other stuff, but it's like, you know what? The mouse is the thing. And for us, every moment, we all get to be the mouse, right? Whether it's street code, whether it's whatever Brandon's doing, whatever Jay's doing, whatever Squint doing, right? Like, we all elevate and push each other so that we have all the resources that we need to be successful in each one of our areas. And I think that's the thing where, because we honestly just want to see each other win and be successful. And that's really what it is. Because if we all do our things, we know that, look, if we feel comfortable being in that spotlight, right, for whatever it is, we know that we're going to represent our families, our cultures, our community in the proper way. It's not anything that's self-serving. It's always going to be for the greater good. Because, like, look, we can all go get jobs and get ours, right? Like, that's nothing. But it's like, what's the legacy, what's the impact that we want to leave on the community and our families? And I think, and the culture, to be honest. And that to me is really, like, why we are so successful together. And why, there's no ego, there's no... like we don't, it's funny, like we don't get in those trials and tribulations, right? Because it's just like, look, we're all adults. We know that things are gonna go bad. We know but like we're here to help. We're here to uplift each other. And whether it's Tone doing street code, being California nonprofit of the year, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we exalt that because we see the work that this man does in the community. Like, he'll probably be mad for me saying, like, sometimes this dude puts the community before himself and his family. That type of, like, just selflessness you can't find in people. And it's like, why wouldn't I do everything I can to help this man? Or be accepting of the gifts that he wants to bestow on me, right? Like, when I wanted to do my nonprofit, Tune was like, bro, I got space for you, I got people for you, I got resources for you. Just come through. Like, who else is doing that? Everybody, well, I'm going for this grant too. I can't. But it's like, nah, we put together our resources and then we go further. And that's just the mantra and the ethos of the group.
We gonna close it out on a high note. We super gonna shift here and then we'll get y'all out of here. I want to know, I've admired everyone's shoe game in here at some point or another. What's y'all's go-to shoe at the moment?
Whoo. So when you say go-to, is it like every day or the one that I'm like coveting?
The one that you like, you know what? First, when I wake up in the morning, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw some jeans on and this shoe.
All right, well, so first of all, I don't think I've wear pants with a button in probably 18 months. So
shorts.
Yeah. The shoe that is shout out to my guy, Armand. It's these shoes called Artifact NYC. They're made in Portugal. They fit like a glove on my foot, man. But it really, the craftsmanship, the materials, and all of that. Those are my go-to shoes. Like I wear those with pretty much everything every day. And the shoe that I am coveting now is getting a little older, so Eastside Golf, the Jordans that they just dropped, I'm hunting them on StockX and GOAT and trying to find them under 4 racks. So if I can find them and all of that, I think I'm gonna do that. But those are the 2 shoes that I got right now.
Tune, I gotta go to you.
Yeah, my shoes. are a sandal I got in Ghana. I call them. They call them the Jesus walks. They call them the
Obadiah Forest.
Yeah, and I wear them with everything, and a part of that is because, I think there's some element of like identity, and for me, being Nigerian, being white, I'm trying to find my place. It took me a while to, the identity is always evolving, but for me, like to come, 40 years old and feel really strong and connected to that side, I like that. Extremely easy to put on. I feel good about that. It reminds me of home, reminds me of my pops. And it just reminds me about being me. The one question that we wanted to squeeze in was who is your unsung hero? And my father is just always someone who has been himself. You know what I mean? No matter where he was, no matter the logic, no matter the science you put before him, he was gonna be true to a spirit inside of him that's guiding him to be him. And I like that. And so, in a era or in a culture that may not look at sandals like the go-to, I love them, they're comfortable, and I rock them. They're my go-tos.
I love the Jordan 4s. So I like the way they fit on my feet. So I wear those to work every single day. They just dropped some white and cement golf Jordan 4s that are coming next week. So I'm about to hit the links later this month with those. And I'd say the ones that are on my list, I saw these Jun Takahashi Reacts. He collaborated with somebody at Nike, and I probably cop those the next bonus that comes through.
Hey, that sounds nice. Well, the shoe designer in the room.
It's gonna be an underwhelming response, my guy. Bruh, I stay in the Adilet slides. I like live and breathe in those because they comfortable and they easy. And then Visvims. I usually am in my Visvims every day, which are like moccasins essentially. That's pretty much it. I'm simple, man. Like it's comfort and color. Does it match with everything? Because I try to lessen the amount of choices and stuff. Yeah, because I'm about to get rid of my entire shoe collection.
Oh, size 13. Let's holler.
I know.
Hey,
You
I'm with that.
Ethereum too.
Hey, I'm with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, he gonna give them to us. We gonna sell them.
Nah, I ain't selling them. Shoot.
Man, Jason Mayden shoes online.
Bro, I'm not selling them. Jay gave me some
sell one, Jay.
LeBrons that I hooped in. And some Jordan trainers, like those are my favorite shoes. Like I best shoes I've ever had. So I'm first of all, it was sacrilegious for a Chicago dude to wear some LeBron, so I felt so weird putting them on my feet. But honestly, probably one of the best basketball shoes I've had in a very long time. So yeah.
Squint, you gotta close us out with your go-to shoe.
It's always gonna be the Jordan 1s. Like I think in Trillicon, when you think about all of us, like the most gangster one, like this side of the room, we gonna fight you. Like we got your back. Like straight up and down. Like they gonna pray for you. No, but I'm saying like this. It's funny because like this side of the room, we gonna fight for you and we not gonna lose. Like straight up and down. Like we got you. Like I'd be like, nah, who said something to you too? Like we got you. You know what I'm saying? But the most gangster one is Brandon. And Brandon introduced me to this concept of like when you walk in, he's like, when you go to these corporate jobs and stuff, they only want 25% of you. I remember him telling me this years ago. And he says, we can never be ourselves. I was like, well, I'm going to be myself all the time. I'm going to be 100% myself, whatever room I'm going to. I'm not going to have to conform or nothing. And so when I was a young kid, I remember seeing the Jordan 1s, the bread, black and red. And that's kind of like why I found myself like wearing some dot or red every day because of like the love for the game and just what it reminded me of, like family and love and all that stuff. And just let's be honest, like we all love the Bulls unless you're from New York, right? But we all love
Craig Elo's kids.
Yeah.
Which are named Michael, Jeffrey, and Jordan.
But it's interesting, like when you think about that, like how much. So I knew at a young kid, like my go-to shoe was gonna be the 1s. Like I have probably well over 50 pair of just the red and black 1s. But the thing is, like I would say 4s would be my second, you know, but I love the 1s. Like, I love that. Having that confidence of bringing yourself 100% wherever you go. Like, that's just crazy. And I never have to, like, justify myself. Like, even back then, I was like, if I wear them and people make fun of me, I don't care. Like, I know what they represent for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult because we work with other brands, and sometimes, like, you know, we've been given certain things. And I'll be like, man, like, I'll hold them down for you. I don't know if I could make that switch yet, you know? So, but I am, you know, and I'm going to just say the Jordan 1s. Like, that's my go-to.
I know y'all gotta run, but
And shout out to the wives, too. Like, that's one thing we cannot leave. Like, we have some strong women behind us. So shout out to the wives, the daughters, the kids, the families.
the Trillicon tribe. Well, appreciate y'all. It's the Untold Podcast. Closing it out with the Trillicon Valley. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you for listening to the Untold Podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for more.